and said, can we just look at a couple of these questions because we're showing up these supports amongst ANC and EFF, and it seems really improbable that EFF voters will want Cape independence and ANC.
Please go check out rebelstoreza.com. Their winter range is now available. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Real Moments. Real Moments are sections from longer interviews done on my channel that I think you guys might find interesting. Your real moment is in. Vote for, sorry. 72% DA, 10% FF+, 11% ANC. Now that was surprising to me. I thought FF Plus would have more than the ANC. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, so look, historically, the Freedom Front hasn't been a huge party in the Western Cape. I think they had 1.4% of the vote, so it's disproportionate, because obviously the overwhelming majority of Freedom Front supporters support Cape independence, whereas the ANC, for all they've fallen, still have sizable support in the province. So they're still the second biggest party in the Western Cape is the ANC, and by some margin. So look, it's what probably is more so. So I think if you look at this, and I agree with this is interesting. I think first of all, this just reaffirms something that when we first formed the CIAG, it was nobody wanted to make this connection. It was independence. The sort of particularly the sort of more radical independent supporters, absolutely were mortified at the suggestion that somehow the DA would be central to independence. That was. It was a fate worse than death. And the DA felt much the same way about independent supporters. And we were always in the middle saying, guys, you're actually the same people. We always maintained it, showed it in the first poll, and that's only strengthened. So here we are, and we see the link between Cape Independence and the DA is very, very significant. So that's the first one. Obviously, the Freedom Front are overly represented given their support in the province, and that would be natural, but they're very good for them. What's really interesting is to see the level of support amongst the ANC and the EFF, this showed up in our poll last year for the first time, and I almost thought, well, look, is that a fault? And in fact, when we ran the poll this year, it's one of the questions we looked at. We used a lot of the same questions, but we actually I went back to Gareth Van Onsen, who's the CEO of Victory Research, and said, can we just look at a couple of these questions because we're showing up these supports amongst ANC and EFF, and it seems really improbable that EFF voters will want Cape independence and ANC.
While I have you here, why don't you please go down in the description below and check out Support My Channel, where you can support me for as little as 40 Rand a month, and also you get some perks, but you gotta use the Quicket link to get access to these perks. Again, links in the description below, and don't forget, subscribing is always free.
So we actually clarified the question a little bit to make it absolutely sure that people weren't misunderstanding us, but we got exactly the same results this year. And in between time, anecdote, I don't know if you saw the press conference, but there was a Causa guy there, Kulile Mpini, who joined us fairly recently. And actually, through our engagements with him, and he's a fantastic guy. Actually, we've written some really interesting pieces that got nothing to do with Cape Independence. So if you get time, I'll read some of his stuff. But through engaging with him, you start to realize that. And I guess it starts to make sense. You realize that there actually are ANC and EFF supporters, because now I know of groups of them that do support Cape Independence, which in itself is quite remarkable. Or support is and then you also start to think through. So why are people voting ANC, EFF? People are voting for their best prospect of a better life. That's the reality, and we know, if you're, the EFF are a pretty confused bunch at the best of times. If their leadership's confused, of course their followers are confused. So, if you're sitting, for example, in a township in Cape Town somewhere, and you're living in absolute poverty in a shack, and you haven't got a job, and you've got no future, you're going to look for things that are going to give you a better chance of life. So actually, and you may fall into the allure of what EFF are promising, and perhaps you also look across and think, well, look, Cape Independence, why not? Let's give this a go. And I think. Here it is. It's shown up twice. It's professional polling. We've repeated the results. So at some point, you have to start thinking, my gosh, that there is sizable support amongst ANC and EFF. That's sizable. It's not, it's not volumes, vast volumes, but it's significant.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your real moment. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please feel free to share it with your friends, family, or whoever you think might find it interesting. Give the video a like. It goes a long way to supporting the channel and helping it grow. And this is your second reminder to please subscribe to my channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. And please go check out the Telegram channel. It's a channel, not a group. You just get notified of all the upcoming uploads and live streams on this channel. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.